A lot of students feel that multiplying fractions is the easiest operation to perform with fractions. This is because we don't care what the bottom numbers are, or what the top numbers are, or anything. All we're doing is taking the top numbers and multiplying those. So in this one we're doing 3 times 1 is 3, and multiply the bottom numbers. 6 times 2 is 12. We just have to remember to reduce the answer if possible. This one we can reduce down to 1 over 4, 1/4. In this problem, we'll be using 2 more of the skills from previous videos before we actually get to multiplication. Remember that you can take any number and put a 1 under it to turn it into a fraction. This first whole number 10 turns into 10 over 1 before we multiply. The second number is a mixed number. It's 2 with a fraction, 1/2. Remember that we can change this to an improper fraction by taking the bottom number and multiplying it times the whole number, so 2 times 2, and adding the top number. So we get 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and keep that same bottom number. So now we have 10 over 1 times 5 over 2. We can go ahead and multiply these straight across. 10 times 5 is 50, and 1 times 2 is 2. 50 over 2 will reduce, though, down to 25. The answer here is just going to be the whole number 25. That last problem started to have some larger reductions going on. Here we'll be learning how to eliminate those before the actual multiplication step. Anytime that you're multiplying fractions, look to see if you can reduce top numbers and bottom numbers across the problem. In this one, 3 and 30. Imagine that it were just 3 over 30. How could you reduce this? We can divide both 3 and 30 by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 30 divided by 3 is 10. So 1 replaces the 3, and 10 replaces the 30. Do the same thing with the 5 and the 15. We can reduce both of these by 5s. 5 going into itself 1 time, and 5 going into 15 3 times. Now we're multiplying 1 times 3 on the top is 3, and 1 times 10 on the bottom is 10. We can no longer reduce this, and this is our final answer. If you miss any numbers in this step, before the multiplication, don't forget to check here to see if you can keep reducing. If you catch all of the reductions here, though, this is going to be your final answer. And here we have caught all of the reductions, so the answer is 3 over 10. Let's use this problem to see why reducing before the multiplication step is a lot easier than reducing after we have an answer. We'll do 6 times 2. That's 12. 12 times 4 is 48. And then the bottom numbers. 10 times 3 is 30. 30 times 6 is 180. We could go ahead and reduce 48 over 180, but that'll take a lot of time. Myself, I would prefer to do some shortcuts and do the reductions before the multiplication step. And here we have 3 fractions being multiplied. We can actually reduce all the way across the problem. Anywhere as long as it's top and bottom that you can reduce, go ahead and do so. So 6 fits into itself 1 time into both of these 6's. We did it all the way across the problem. See if there are any other numbers that can be reduced. We can divide both 2 and 10 by 2. 2 going into itself 1 time, and 2 going into 10 5 times. Now we have to see if there are any more numbers that we can reduce. 1s will always stay 1s. We can go no lower than that. This 4 has no number on the bottom which can be reduced alongside it. So we're going to have to go ahead and multiply across. 1 times 1 times 4, just giving us 4 on the end. And then those bottom numbers. 5 times 3 is 15, times 1 is going to leave it 15. So 48 over 180 ends up reducing down to 4 over 15. I would much rather do it this way and save myself a lot of headache. Just as both addition and subtraction with fractions share similar rules, multiplication and division also share very similar rules. In fact, we're not actually going to be dividing fractions, we're going to be changing the problems into multiplication problems and solving them that way. In this example, we have 4 over 5 divided by 1 over 3. We'll just be bringing this first fraction straight down. It stays 4 over 5. Now we're going to turn the division symbol into a multiplication symbol and flip the second fraction over, so that the top and the bottom numbers trade places. 3 is now on top and 1 is on the bottom. Now we have a multiplication problem which we can solve. 4 times 3 giving us 12, and 1 times 5 is 5 on the bottom. This improper fraction can be changed into the mixed number 2 and 2/5. We get that answer by dividing 12 by 5. It'll go 2 times with 2 left over. So again, your answer here is 2 and 2/5. Our next division problem is 12 divided by 3 and 1/8. I'll give you a moment to pause the video and work the problem out on your own if you would like. Remember, for multiplication, we can change the 12 into a fraction by putting a 1 under it. 12 over 1. Go ahead and change this to a multiplication problem. And this 3 and 1/8, we'll be changing that from a mixed number to an improper fraction. 3 times 8 is 24, plus that 1 is 25 over 8. But don't forget, you have to flip this fraction so that 8 is on top and 25 is on the bottom. So it's actually 12 over 1 times 8 over 25. Now we just multiply across the top, 12 times 8 giving us 96, and multiply across the bottom, 1 times 25 being 25. And because we get an improper fraction as the answer here, we will have to divide it out. 96 divided by 25. It'll go 3 times, giving us 21 left over. So our final answer is 3 and 21/25.